but if you can just double check right now and make sure you're muted, that would be great. But anyway, so last year we had it in person, and everybody knows this year we had to make changes, but we hope that you will enjoy it. We are excited to host this event. We have many wonderful partners, and they're going to share a variety of opportunities for educators as you work to meet these needs of our students during these times. We have a wonderful program planned. If you need schedule information, we did have it up briefly there at the beginning, but please visit the event webpage hosted by Pontchartrain Conservancy, and it does show a detailed list of the presenters, their email contact information, what time they're presenting, and their website. So a few housekeeping items. I want to thank Connor. You saw him at the beginning a little bit. He is our behind the scenes tech support, and he's going to be working hard to make everything run smoothly. And then we have Kate, who's also helping us with tech stuff in the background. And so we just want to really give them a big thank you for that. Again, I'm going to ask you all to remain muted at all times. That way everyone can hear the presenters well. We welcome questions. We love questions. So please get your questions ready for each presenter. They are going to allot about a minute at the end of each of their presentations to answer your questions. And we're going to ask you to type your questions into the chat box. We will have chat box monitors who will read those questions to the presenters so they can give you answers. If they run out of time, because it is a tight schedule, again, I'm going to refer you to their email address. It's listed on our website under their logo and under their information. And please do reach out to them. That's why we're here, is to get you connected to everybody. So we have door prize winners. We have door prizes that were provided by the Pontchartrain Conservancy, the Green Project, and the Ogden Museum of Southern Art. And we have drawn those winners to save time. And I will be announcing those between speakers. So please listen for your name. And we will give you directions on how to redeem your prizes via email. So you'll watch for an email. Finally, because we are so dependent on technology, I want to give you a little bit of advice if you do run into technical issues. One thing that often works is if you sign out and sign back in. So that's your first go-to, is to sign out and sign back in. If that doesn't work and your internet isn't working, and that's my dog you hear in the background, sorry, we're going to ask you to call in with the Zoom number, and it was in that information that I emailed to you. And you'll be able to hear the presenters. You won't be able to see the slides, but you will at least be able to hear us. So those are a couple options for technical issues, and we just want to make sure you are aware of those. As I've said, all presenters' contact information and websites are listed on the event webpage, hosted by Pontchartrain Conservancy. So don't worry, if you miss anything, you will be able to contact them directly. And in addition, this event is being recorded and will be available. It won't be within the next 24 hours, but you will be able to refer back to it and share it with other educators who were unable to attend. Finally, I want to ask you guys to watch for a post-event survey, and that will come in your email. We would love feedback on this event. So anything that you want to tell us, what you enjoyed, what was helpful, what we can improve, we're going to ask you to just fill out that survey that will come via internet. Obviously, I have a really thirsty dog. I don't know if you can hear her, but that's going to go on in the background. So without further ado, I will announce our first door prize winners. So please listen for your name. So the first prizes I'm going to give away are a couple of tickets to the Ogden Museum of Southern Art. So we have 2 winners for a ticket each. And the first winner is Wesley A. Matheny, and I'm going to try really hard to say everybody's names correctly. So please make sure that you listen for your name, even if I don't do a great job of saying it. So that was Wesley A. Matheny. You have a ticket to the Ogden Museum of Art. And then secondly, Lori Akinola Massaquoi, I believe. Lori Akinola Massaquoi. You have a ticket to the Ogden Museum of Southern Art, and we will send you emails, so keep an eye out for those emails. The other door prize I want to give away at this time is from the Pontchartrain Conservancy, and it's a Kids Lab Green Energy Kit, and it has different activities you can do around green energy. And the winner for that door prize is Ginger Lewis. So again, the winner for that is Ginger Lewis. And Ginger, keep an eye out. We'll send you an email and to tell you how to redeem that. So that is pretty much our intro. I'm just going to again remind you to keep yourself muted, ask questions towards the end in the chat box, refer back to the schedule on the website whenever you need to, and take breaks and yay Ginger, take breaks and get comfortable. This should be fun and enjoyable, and just it's nice that we're in the comfort of our homes. I guess that's the positive side. Now, I am the first presenter, so here in a minute, you'll see my slides get loaded from Connor, and I will start my presentation for our programming at the Pontchartrain Conservancy. So we'll just take a brief break while Connor gets my slides loaded, and then we'll move forward. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you, Connor. So I start at 4:40, so we'll just kind of ease on into this, just so if there is anybody who wants to join us, they have the moments that they need to get joined in. On this slide, though, you can see we used to be called the Lake Pontchartrain, used to like a few months ago, the Lake Pontchartrain Basin Foundation. So if any of you are confused, we did do a shift to a new name and a new logo, and we are now the Pontchartrain Conservancy. So that's why the different look. We are still housed at the New Canal Lighthouse, for those of you who are familiar with us, but we are now the Pontchartrain Conservancy, doing the same work, but just updating the look and the name. So my time has started, so I'll go ahead and get started, and I want to just say, can you go back to the first slide for me? I'm so sorry. Thank you. So thank you for joining us. And please note my email address and our website where you can explore offerings in depth and at your leisure. I encourage you to go to our website. It's scienceforOurcoast.org. And that way you can really take your time and look at what we offer. I'm going to stay on this slide for a minute, and I have a question for everybody to think about hypothetically. And that is, in this challenging time, what will students have access to on a daily basis? So I'm just going to give you a minute to think about that. And there are a lot of different answers. I'm going to focus on one answer, and that would be their immediate environment. Many times that's going to be an urban environment, but I want to bring up that whether that's at school or in a neighborhood, these environments have biotic and abiotic factors. They provide opportunities to think about our watersheds and pollution, and so many other inquiries. They're also often near wild areas with opportunities for even more exploration. And so we are engaging learners with environmental education. Next slide, please. So a little bit about our programming and our philosophies. Our programming taps into the immediacy of the environment and allows for exploration and investigation. So you see a series of photos here, and the first one is talking about our programming is inquiry-based with opportunities for critical thinking. Here you see students designing a filter to mimic the ecosystem service that wetlands provide. She's then going to test that filter and reflect on the results, so hands-on. Our programming in this next photo is real-world focused, which ensures relevancy for the participants. And here you see students IDing aquatic macroinvertebrates and interpreting what their presence means for the health of the bayou. In the third picture, you can see our programming is adaptable, which comes in handy right now, and it allows for collaboration. Participants create their own meaning through exploring each topic in a variety of ways. And here you can see a student creating an artistic rendition of a sub-watershed of the larger Mississippi River watershed, allowing him to literally create the connections between these concepts. His collaborators were doing the other sub-watersheds and connecting them to his watershed. Our programming centers problem solving with hands-on activities. Here you see students who know what an oil spill is, and they're experimenting with possible cleanup methods and discussing their success and challenges with each attempt. Next slide, please. So how have these programs adapted to our current limitations due to COVID-19? Well, obviously they've gone virtual. So we are providing pre and post activities as well as digital materials for use during our programs. I've highlighted a few opportunities that you can tap into, and let's focus first on virtual hikes. So we are using local locations, and in this example, we went to Bayou Sauvage. You'll see the video in just a moment, and we'll show the students maps, like the map here, of where these locations are and how to get there. And this Bayou Sauvage happens to be free, but just details about it so they can go on their own. Can you play the video, please? So during the virtual hikes, we're not going to talk really, as we do much of it. At this moment, I will, just to move us along. But the students will be asked to keep a field journal as we do the virtual hikes. And they're going to sketch what they see and record what they think they hear. In this case, we are walking through bottomland hardwood forest, and we may have a different task for them to focus on while they're doing the virtual hikes. So they're asked to look and listen. And then we're going to discuss ID, etc., different tasks. We use virtual hikes for programs like our ecosystems of the basin, and we might focus on ecotones where two ecosystems meet, and that area in between is called an ecotone. So maybe we're going to focus on that. Maybe we'll focus on non-native invasive species and IDing them and what they mean for the environment. And there are other topics. We also use virtual hikes for Wetlands 101, and you can see a couple photos here to the right, and maybe we focus on the difference between a swamp and marshes, and students create artifacts to illustrate that. Or we might do food webs. In this case, you see a pig frog, and maybe we're comparing food webs in a saline marsh versus a freshwater marsh, for instance. We also are very excited to announce our virtual hike that we'll be doing for our coastal land loss program in the fall. We're partnering with the Ogden, and they're going to use their Walter Anderson collection of art of the treasures of the coast, which are beautiful. And while they feature those, we'll feature how we're losing these treasures via the land loss and the restoration efforts that are happening. So another way we use virtual hikes. And there are more examples. The next example I wanted to feature were virtual labs, and you can see a couple photos there in the corner of me under a tent holding up an aquatic macroinvertebrate. And basically what we're doing is teaching students to ID macroinvertebrates from home, and we will provide the digital guides and data collection sheets. And though they don't have microscopes, we can get extremely close up on the organisms, and they are able to ID them, collect the data, analyze the data, and then find out what that means for the quality of the water that we're looking at. Another way we use virtual labs is our water quality testing. And we're going to get help from the Lakefront Learning Lab for those labs, and you'll hear about that in just a little bit from Kate. We also have stormwater labs where we might do a surface permeability test with the students at wherever they are. And then we'll pair that with a hike through their neighborhood doing a stormwater watch trash collection to keep that trash out of catch basins. And then we have more virtual labs that we can do. Another way that we're doing virtual programming are virtual challenges. So you can see hydrological modifications there. And in this situation, students will do different activities like matching games to learn about hydrological modifications. And then we'll task them to design and build a hydrological modification with materials that are easily found to solve a real world problem. We test it and we talk about what happened. Other challenges might be, as you see these students, IDing non-point source pollution in their neighborhood and logging it, right? And coming up with ways to end it in some way. Designing coastal protections for the impacts of hurricanes, etc. And we have more challenges. Next slide, please. Now, another resource we're very excited about is our newest resource, and it's Educator Essentials. It is a free online resource with 2 areas for educators to utilize. The first one you see here is curriculum collections and is live and ready to use. Currently, it has 7 collections based on local phenomenon with global connections, and the topics range from climate migrants and Ile de Jean Charles to understanding water quality concepts. It features real-world data, scientific tools from organizations like NOAA and the EPA and other organizations. And you can choose between our guided explorations, where we've put together 5 sessions that will walk you and your students through activities to learn about the topic, or you can build your own lesson plan based on our resources that we've curated in your Build Your Own Lesson Plan area. These are free. We are going to ask you to make an educator account that is also free to access it. And you can do that after we get off here if you want. This is a growing resource, and so the next one we're going to add is marine debris, and we're asking you to send anything you think we should add into the collections. It really is for you, and so it should reflect anything you think you need. So please do share. And it is geared towards middle school and high school, but many things can be adapted and used with younger grades. So please check it out and spread the word. Next slide, please. The second area of Educator Essentials will focus on educator professional development around environmental topics, and this resource is in development. We will release each PD collection as it becomes available. The first collection will focus on multiple lines of defense and be paired with live educator PD, in which participants will take home an EBLODS model as seen here. So look for that in the fall. And topics will range from microplastics to coastal land loss and more. These collections will feature videos, webinars, modules, and more to allow educators to delve into the environmental issues you are teaching about. Many of these PD collections will have live PD that you can sign up for, and we'll announce these opportunities as they become available. Next slide, please. Please know that we are here to provide you with the resources you need to help educate your students about environmental issues. Let us know how we can support you. Questions? And Kate is my chat box monitor. Do we have any questions, Kate?
It looks like most of the questions just revolve around languages.
Gotcha.
We provide any information in various languages.
So we are working on translations for Spanish, and we just connected with a French translator. So if you have additional questions for me, I'm going to ask you to email me at kimberly@scienceforOurcoast.org, and do visit our website for more information and to view the curriculum collections. It's time to move on to our next speaker, but let me just let you know the door prize to give away this time is recycled paint from the Green Project, and the winner is Cecilia Marshall. Watch for an email, Cecilia. And now you'll hear from Emily at Energy Wise Alliance. Emily?
I thought I unmuted myself. I'm sorry. Hi, everybody. My name is Emily Snyder. Hello again to those of you who I know, and hello for the first time to those I don't. I am the Hi, Ginger. I'm the education manager at a small New Orleans-based nonprofit called Energy Wise Alliance, and we are, or just colloquially, Energy Wise, and we are the presenters of the Energy Smart for Kids program in New Orleans and the Entergy Solutions program in Entergy territories around the state. Those are our 2 major programs and the ones I'm going to focus on today. Next slide, please. So every program revolves around energy efficiency starter kits. So every single student enrolled in our programs, regardless of territory, receives an energy efficiency starter kit. And if you're a new teacher, you get one too, but don't tell anybody. So those kits include, as you can see here, 6 LED light bulbs, a high efficiency shower head. I use the same exact model in my house and I love it. A kitchen sink aerator, a bathroom sink aerator, plenty of information that students can give to their families to help them learn how to participate in other programs that are run through the utilities, and a survey form so that we know how much energy they're saving at home. This is my favorite program photo. I believe the prompt on this photo was "pretend it's a Christmas present." So every student gets one of these, and we're working on ways to deliver those kits to every student regardless of their educational setting situation this school year. Next slide. So if you are familiar with our programming, please forget everything you know. We have changed all of it to develop a new suite of pandemic-friendly programming. Kim's slides were much prettier than mine, but I think we got the basics here because this is all brand new. We don't have any photos of it yet. So when you sign up for our program, not only will every single student get a kit, but you will be provided with a set of lesson plans that will sort of trickle in, I think, throughout the semester, geared toward the grade that you teach. So actually important information. Our Orleans Parish program, Energy Smart, is built for 6th graders and 10th graders or older high schoolers. And the Entergy Solutions program for the rest of the state is built for 8th graders. So those are the only eligible grades. However, if you are curious about our lesson plans and you don't teach one of those grades, we're happy to provide you with some. We also are developing a suite of 4 different virtual lessons that you can choose from. And so those include several different topics that we can work with you on. And an inter-school competition that includes tons and tons of ways for students and teachers to rack up points. And the winning schools in each territory get a chunk of cash to do environmental projects around their school building. Next slide. Oh, that might be it. So this is the contact information. I'm happy to answer questions about our new programming. All of it is optional. When you sign up for the kits, there's nothing else other than returning the forms that we need for you to do. You don't have to, because we don't know what anybody's needs are. We're assuming everybody's needs are different. So this is a way to provide everyone with a way to get what they need, teach their kids about energy, teach their kids about self-advocacy, environmental stewardship, and personal finance. And get some gear to take home to make their homes more energy efficient. And I believe that's my time.
Any questions for Emily? Okay. Thank you, Emily.
And it's free. I should have mentioned that. This is all completely free.
And so we're about to move on to our next speaker, but the door prize for this time is a ticket to the Ogden. And the winner is Laura Krebs. So Laura, be on the lookout for your email. And the next speaker is Heather from Loop NOLA. Heather?
Mute. All right. See, is the slideshow up yet? There we go. Hey, I'm Heather. I am the program director for Loop NOLA. We're the Louisiana Outdoor Outreach Program. Here's a picture, obviously, from a year when COVID wasn't happening, with all the kids standing next to each other looking adorable. If you can hit the next slide. So overall, what we do is we provide outdoor education for children and youth in the greater New Orleans area. We try to foster academic and social emotional learning. We officially provide positive, life-changing outdoor experiences for the greater New Orleans children and youth. And it's our goal to make the outdoors more equitable, especially for underserved youth, urban youth. We primarily work with a lot of the charter schools in the greater New Orleans area, trying to get those kids out doing some things that they don't normally get to do in the outdoors. Sometimes it's a little bit more physically active and learning a new outdoor skill, just trying something new and expanding their comfort zones. And sometimes it's a little bit more academic linked. Next slide, please. And go ahead, there we go. So our goals for the year, we're trying to just keep students engaged. We know that kids haven't been able to spend a lot of time outside largely since March, and that is a long time to spend inside. especially for a lot of the kids that we serve. So we're trying to keep them engaged, provide some educational activities for students that are a little more hands-on than what they normally get in a classroom, where they can learn more about what they're learning, physically where they're at, provide physical and mental provide physically and mentally beneficial activities for the kids, and work with individual schools to meet their safety needs. We know a lot of schools have a lot of different things going on with what they're allowed to do right now, and so we're willing to be flexible to meet the needs of schools. If they can go on field trips or if they can just do virtual stuff, we're willing to try to meet everyone where they're at. Next slide, please. And one more slide. All right, so a little bit of COVID-19 precautions, what everyone's wondering about. At this point, if we do have groups out, everyone is required to wear a mask. We do temperature and symptom checks for all staff and students. Have to maintain social distancing while they're on trips with us. All of the gear and equipment is sanitized after each use. We maintain small group sizes. We wash hands frequently, and there is always hand sanitizer available. So yes, we are still running outdoor programming in City Park and in a few different locations. And we do have a lot of COVID precautions in place now. Next slide, please. So the activities that we can actually do this year, we've had to change up a little of what we normally do. So the ones that we can offer for this year are high ropes. We've got the only high ropes course in the greater New Orleans area. We do canoeing, fishing, nature-based discovery, and wetlands ecology. Next slide has the contact info. I think I'm at 1 minute, so if anyone has any questions. All right, well, I guess if not, then we hope to see folks out. We are still running canoe rentals as well in City Park on the weekends. We have availability to lead like weekend outings for groups on the Boca Chica River and do a few other things. So let us know if you want to do anything.
Thank you, Heather. I'll be hitting you up for that canoe. Okay, trip. So the door prize for this time is from Pontchartrain Conservancy, and it's a metal new Canal Lighthouse reusable water bottle. And it goes to Stacy O'Neill. So Stacy, please keep an eye out for your email on how to get your door prize. And our next presenter, as Connor puts up the slides, is going to be Danny from Louisiana Sea Grant. And we'll let her get started with her presentation.
Thanks, Kimberly. As you can see from the slide here, we're going to kind of talk about some online STEM resources that we have for your classrooms, and particularly thinking about as they move remote and how we're trying to transition with you. Next slide, please. So first of all, just starting off, what is Sea Grant, in case you're unfamiliar? We're a many-faceted organization that has both research, outreach, law and policy, education, and communications. What that really means is that we're pretty interdisciplinary, and we get to keep our finger and our pulse on ongoing research questions or community resilience concerns in the coastal area. Next slide, please. So let's get to the specifics of what we're planning and providing for y'all. If you have been in the Baton Rouge area, you may have participated in Ocean Commotion in the past. This is a one-day event where we have about 2,000 students come to the PMAC on LSU's campus, and they have presentations from a variety of different organizations and agencies throughout the state. Obviously not the best idea for this year, considering the large group size. So we're moving it all online, so that means that we can have greater participation. So there will be groups from Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, the Fish and Wildlife Service, Louisiana Art and Science Museum, that are developing short presentations that'll be accompanied with lesson plans or supplemental materials. Next slide. Something we've been working on for quite a while now is working with researchers to take their data out of their labs and put it into classrooms. And we do this with the help of designers. So these are really data heavy or data based grounded lessons that have heavy design elements in them. And there's a whole website around it, which you can see at the bottom. But another project we've been working on for the last couple months is trying to take some of the lesson plans that we've developed and all of the worksheets that accompany it. We're trying to make them all fillable PDFs. So that'll be easier to use if you have a remote classroom. You can see one of those on the right-hand side of the screen. The one in the middle is actually a video. We're not going to play it now, it's just on the website, but of how the Mississippi River has shifted paths over the years. Next slide. Another educational resource we have is the LaMare site, which is Louisiana Marine Education Resources. There's a variety of topics on there. Some are ones we've been working on for years. Some of them are fairly new, like our virtual story time. The image on the right here is actually, we had a local author working with us talking about the New Orleans area and how it's changed and how it's affected his family. And so he does the reading, and then we have a series of language arts lessons that accompany it for reading comprehension. So the website for that is down at the bottom. Next slide, please. A project that I've been really excited to work with the last couple of years, and I've actually hit Kimberly up a couple times to help me with it, is trying to get the faculty and the grad students that are doing research in our state to do a better job of communicating that. So this is kind of my appeal to you, and where I'm turning some of the requests on to see what you guys need. If you have a topic that you would like an expert to present on, I have a nice long list of people that I've worked with and that are now willing to communicate that. So contact me ideas that you have that would, generally align with coastal science or coastal research, and maybe I can find a great person that would help and add to your classroom. Next slide, please. Another thing that we do at Sea Grant is professional development. We have had a number of workshops in the past, and we're planning one for 2021 with BitNep on community science, but as we've seen, many things have changed. So this is, again, calling out to you guys. What are some professional development opportunities that you would like to see? Could be virtual or could be in person. We have the resources to put them on, but we want to make sure that we're doing something that is of interest to you. Next slide. And lastly, this is the final call of, we're all in a very uncertain time and many things are changing. And you guys, as you are getting your classes ready, may have new needs or new things that emerge. So if there's lessons that you haven't had yet and you want to see developed, if there's kits you'd like to develop with either consumables or reusables, if you know of authors for story times or field trips that you want to have, virtual or other, or anything that you can think of that you think will make your classroom better, please contact us with ideas, because we're really looking to be a resource to the schools and to all of us as we kind of navigate this new environment for us. Next slide. And this is just where you can send any of those ideas, thoughts, comments, concerns, queries to. That's my email address at Louisiana Sea Grants. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Any questions for Danny? You can type them into the chat box. The door prize, thank you, Danny. The door prize for this segment is another ticket to the Ogden. And the winner is Samantha Kapik. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, Samantha. And watch for an email for that. Were there any questions for Danny? Danny, did you see any? Nope, we're good. Okay, no worries. Again, you guys can email the presenters with questions, of course. Our next presenter is Kate from the Lakefront Learning Lab. Kate.
All right. Hi, everybody. So yeah, I'm here at the Lakefront Learning Lab, which is the public water lab here at the New Canal Lighthouse. You can use it to incorporate into an in-depth ed program that you would work with Kimberly with, or use it for individual students who are doing, distinct projects like a science fair project, that sort of thing. Traditionally, students have come to the lab and we go through the steps of water testing, but with COVID, we're trying to open up the lab to other options to make things a lot easier for y'all. So we could definitely work on, if you have kids that are going through one of these projects, they could mail us samples that we will do the test, or drop off samples to us here at the lab. We'll test them and then send them the results. But yeah, we would be really excited to work with you all directly about, depending on what the regulations are, to find the best thing that would work for y'all. Next slide, please. So there are a few things that we test for here. Of course, the biotic data. Next slide, please. First thing we'll look at is algae. So of course that's been all over the news as the algae blooms get more extensive around the world. We have a fluorometer that we use to compare chlorophyll with physocyanin, which not only gives us the amount of algae in the water, but also gives us the probability of presence of the dreaded blue-green algae, which is what we're all afraid of. So that would be a really great, science fair project or class-wide project to look at that. Next slide, please. We also look at macroinvertebrates. We have a dissecting microscope that does have a camera. So if students were to send us samples, we would be able to take images of a magnified look at those critters to send back to them, as well as identify them. Next slide, please. And we have the sort of standard abiotic data that we look at when you're looking at the health of the fish assemblages within the water, but also a lot of these things affect public health around the world, but absolutely here as well. We have, salinity wedges creeping up the Mississippi, temperature changes. We have total dissolved and suspended solids, which is our turbidity, dissolved oxygen, of course, which is affects everything most of all, and pH. But again, we would be able to take these samples and either have the kids come in depending on the rules at the time in scheduled sessions, or again, we'd love to have people bring the samples to us, mail them to us or drop them off. There's also the option of if the kids can't leave the classroom, most of this stuff is mobile. We can bring the lab to you all. Next slide, please. And that's just my contact info. Just let me know how we can help you and if you have any questions. Does anyone have any questions right now? Nope. Okay, that wraps it up.
Okay, Kate, thank you. That was super. And yeah, so Kate and I work together on a lot of things. So again, you can hit me up to get registered for our programming, and then we would pull in the Lakefront Learning Lab as needed and as requested. So it's just a lovely partnership between us to be able to do a lot of things. We finished a little bit early on that one, but let me tell you, for this break, the door prize is going to be a Save Our Coast t-shirt from Pontchartrain Conservancy. And the winner is, and I'm going to do my best on this name, Shauna Pataki, I hope. So Shauna, please keep an eye out for an email that lets you know how to get your Save Our Coast t-shirt. And our next presenter is going to be Meg from New Orleans City Park. We're getting those slides loaded now, and you'll hear from Meg in just a moment.
Okay, am I on now? Okay, thank you everyone. I'm Meg Adams. I'm the Director of Environmental Stewardship at City Park, and I work with Lindsay Kirsch, who is our Environmental Program Manager at City Park. Next slide. I hope everybody's familiar with City Park and that y'all have made your way out there during the COVID crisis. We have seen a lot more people in the park these days, but City Park, if you're not familiar with it, is 1,300 acres near the lakefront. We have a lot of green space. We've got 22 miles of lagoon edges, 137 acres of waterways. We've got all kind of interesting things to do at the park, walking paths, and the focus of our environmental program is Couturier Forest, which is on Harrison Avenue. I hope y'all have all made your way out there. It's a 60-acre urban forest with walking trails, and the highest point in New Orleans, which is Laborde Mountain. And we have been developing some programs. This was going to be our big first year of doing environmental programming in Couturier, and unfortunately, a few things have gotten in the way, but we're going to keep trying. Resources that we have available for educators are the Nature's Notebook Phenology Trail. Phenology is the study of observable phases in plant and animal life, like leaf color changes and flowers budding as it relates to climate change. So there's a program that kids can access on their phones or iPads. The Nature's Notebook program is tied in with citizen scientists all over the nation, and you can go once and do the Nature's Notebook Trail, or you can make it a whole semester's worth of work. There's a lot of stuff on their website that will tie in with any kind of stuff that you wanted to do in your classroom. And there's also an 11-minute video that you can watch. There's a link there on the screen that where Lindsay explains how it works in City Park. So it's very, very easy to do, all ages. Next slide, please. You can see here an example of one of the sheets that pops up on your phone that asks you, have the leaves changed color? Do you see leaf buds, etc.? So it's very easy to use for all ages. Next slide, please. We can also do just tours, hopefully, face-to-face tours eventually in the park. Lindsay and I are both master naturalists, and we're training some other master naturalists to lead the tours as well. We can tie them in any way you want, with water quality, with native and invasive species. It's just a great site. Obviously, urban forest, it has its own, it's a wonderful resource to have in the park. Next slide, please. We also have some online resources, discovery journals that you can print and take out on, for older kids. It helps them to think like naturalists, to make observations of nature. And we have some online scavenger hunts for the younger kids. Next slide. And the Botanical Garden also does tours. Right now, I'm not sure what their availability is. I think we're kind of in a holding pattern, but that will certainly be something that's coming back soon. Next slide, please. And we partner with a lot of different groups, like Pontchartrain Basin Foundation, Fish and Wildlife, the Native Plant Initiative, the Iris Society. We have all kind of resources, so we can make kind of tailor an educational system, an educational program for you, depending on what your interests are. I think I'm almost out of time, but I forgot to set my timer. I'm not doing. Does anybody have any questions?
Not seeing any questions, Meg, but that was awesome. I love that photo. Thank you so much. Y'all can contact Meg at her email there. And remember, all of that contact information is listed on the website that Tracy, thank you, from the NOMA shared, our website that lists this event. So as Connor pulls up the next slides, let me give away a door prize. It's a ticket to the Ogden, and the winner is Belinda Spoksak. I know I'm messing that up, Belinda, and I apologize, but please keep an eye out for an email so that we can tell you how to redeem your prize. The next speaker is Tracy from the NOMA, and her slides will be up, and we'll let you listen to her.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us from the comfort of your own homes. I guess you can tell maybe that our theme is we're all trying to adapt, and we're all trying to do our best to provide whatever it is that you may need in this upcoming semester. And so we are doing the same at the New Orleans Museum of Art. Before I go specifically into the school programs, I should let you know, and I'm sorry, I didn't think to make a specific slide to this. We are currently open on Wednesday through Sunday. Our hours have changed slightly. We're open from 10 to 5, and that includes both the sculpture garden and the galleries. We have limited group sizes. So if you are coming, inside the museum, we are limited to groups of 10 or fewer. And then in the sculpture garden, we're limited to groups of 25 at the current state and local recommendations. So that is our group visit situation right now. So in order to be able to provide information and discussions with you in the classroom, we are developing a virtual program. So next slide, please. So we have developed a program called Virtual Visits. This would include, and this was after a survey with some teachers, so we tried to sort of adapt the program to what we think you will like. This would include a 30-minute art discussion with a NOMA educator, me or some of my colleagues, who some are on this call now, I believe. That would be limited to a few works of art using a discussion and a slow-looking process. This would be live on Zoom or on Google Meet, or, I mean, honestly, if there's a different type of program that you really prefer and we can make that happen, we'll do that as well. We will have multiple topics, and that is coming up in another slide. There will be video components, and I'll have a sample of that as well today, and also lesson plans provided, so those could be for pre or post visit, and also a pre-visit consultation to select works, because we would have to limit it to only a few things in 30 minutes to speak with you and your students about, so we want to make sure that those works of art are the most pertinent to your curriculum. Next slide, please. So what would these feature? They'll be, of course, arts integration. That is kind of at the core of our school programs, meaning that we will bring art discussions and art making via the lesson plans, and we will tie that into your curriculum. You'll see that we've selected topics that will relate to science, social studies, and language arts as well. We feature open-ended questions. We use often kind of an adaptation of visual thinking strategies. So we really want to focus on making connections between what students are seeing and what they are thinking. There will be standards based, and again, that will be provided with the lesson plans. There is potential for guest experts, and so maybe that would be an opportunity for some of the Louisiana Sea Grant experts to come in, or we have also worked with Kimberly at Pontchartrain Conservancy, so there's opportunities to bring in experts and maybe some artists as well. And again, very adaptable. I mean, we want to provide something that will be meaningful for your students and that will fit into your new normal or in your new classroom. And so it's going to be very adaptable and personalizable. Next slide, please. So the topics that we've landed on for this semester, and again, things could change a little bit depending on what you all are requesting, are visual literacy and the elements of art, what's the story, narrative in art, art for social change, that's a new tour for us, and art and ecology. Each of those topics would be adaptable to the grade level, although some might be more, for example, art for social change would be recommended more for middle school and up. Elements of art could be adapted. We can, it can be for kindergarten, first and second and third, and we can adapt that for older students as well. So again, adaptability is key here. Next slide, please. So I wanted to bring in an example of one of an object. So, I guess one of the sad things is that we will be looking at all of these objects digitally in this online presentation and not in person, which does lose a little bit, but hopefully this will be just for a short time. But so I wanted to bring in one of the objects that is going to be an offering on the Art for Social Change tour. And what I think will happen is that each tour will have, 10 or 12 objects, and then I will work with the teachers to determine, we think these would be the best for our students. And again, if you prefer, if you were like, no, I really want to do this piece, I know that you have, or do you have anything like this, we could adapt it as well. So I should also say that normally I wouldn't put the title up, but I'm trying to make sure that I credit all of the artists in this slideshow. But so we would bring this in for our 30-minute presentation. We might spend 8 minutes looking and talking about this photograph. And I would ask the students, what do you see here? What do you think is happening? Depending on the type of tour, this would be obviously a potential choice for Art for Social Change, but you can also think about it as narrative. What might have happened before, what might be happening next. So we'll take the time in a slideshow format to really discuss the work and give students an opportunity to express themselves as well. Next slide, please. And then I also wanted to give an example of the type of a lesson plan. So this might be something that would accompany that. This would also have the standards. This is kind of a shortened version just so it would be more legible. But there will be opportunities, suggested lesson plans that you could do. So you could take this 30-minute opportunity for a live session, and you could expand it out. You could use the lesson plans, you could turn it into a unit, you could turn it into a week study, or it could be, a one-time sort of virtual field trip. So we will provide materials that you can then make as assignments, make as group assignments, make as, take home, do at home. So again, hopefully everything will be very adaptable to our various situations. Next slide, please. And then I think if we have time, if you'll just play this a little bit, please, Connor. This is an example of how we will hope that the students will be able to also experience the work. So this is a short video of a work from the sculpture garden.
This time I'm going to focus a little bit more downward, and I want you to think about the lines and the colors and what those might represent. So now we just are facing down onto the actual walkway. We don't see the reflections in the sides. Try to pick a color and kind of focus on that one.
Okay, you can stop it now. So this was a selection of one work from our sculpture garden that was specific to a program that we did over the summer, actually with Pontchartrain Conservancy, for a camp group. And so we wanted, especially with sculpture, you want to be able to have that opportunity to experience it in 3 dimensions. And that is, again, something that can be specified if there's something. We'll have more and more of these videos, I'm sure, as we go along. Okay, next slide, please. I'm almost out of time. Yep, final slide. So how to schedule. You can email grouptours@noma.org. You can email me personally from the email address that is on the this event's website. You can go to our website. It's not totally updated with all of the new changes, but it will be soon, hopefully by the end of this week. You can call us. That is my direct line, so you can call me. And we're going to have all of these programs available in October, but I really want to do some piloting in September. So if something really appeals to you and you don't mind being one of the first to try it out, please give me a call or an email and we'll set something up. We're not offering specific days and times yet, but we'll see sort of how that shakes out and what works out best for you guys. So did anyone have any questions?
We're moving into the Ogden. If you have questions
Okay.
for Tracy, if you'll please go ahead and email them to her, that would be awesome. The door prize for this time is a New Canal Lighthouse baseball cap from Pontchartrain Conservancy. And the winner is Leslie Kreschman Krushamar, and I am so sorry. Leslie Krushamar. I hope that is even close. Please watch for an email. Our next speaker is Ellen from the Ogden, and her slides are loaded. Ellen?
Hey y'all, I'm Ellen Balkin. I'm the Director of Education at the Ogden Museum of Southern Art, and I also have along with me Sarah Ashanis, who is our museum educator, and she's going to be co-presenting with me today. I'm going to just do a quick intro. We can go to our next slide. So we're also, like everybody else, pivoting, and we have designed a new virtual tour program so we can bring the museum to your students. Go ahead, next slide. I just want to give a little intro about the Ogden Museum itself. I always ask people if they've ever been to the Ogden Museum, when kids come and when groups come. And more are saying yes, so we're excited about that, but we're a relatively new museum. We opened in 2003 with a core collection from Roger Ogden, who's a local entrepreneur and businessman whose kind of life passion was to collect art, and specifically art from the South. So all the art that we have there is done by artists who are from the South, who have lived in the South or have some sort of connection to the South. So we really think that we are just uniquely situated to be able to speak to students living here, because all the artwork really is about them and their experiences. So when you come through, maybe they'll be able to more closely relate to maybe a personality that they see in a portrait, or maybe they see a landscape that kind of moves them, or maybe it's just the colors and the shapes of the artwork, but it's all got a connection to them. So we're really excited about that, and the fact that we have so many different types of artwork in the museum. So that's just kind of 101 on the museum. Just one other thing before I go, I did want to let you know that we are also open now. We are open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So you all can come in and see all the artwork that we're going to talk about also. We do have time ticketing in place, so you can go online and get your time tickets before, or you can go in and get it right when you're there. And we're free to Louisiana residents on Thursdays. And hopefully one day soon, we'll actually be able to have groups again. But I'm going to turn it over to Sarah Ashanis, who's going to talk to you more in depth about our virtual tour program.
All right, great. Thanks, Ellen. Next slide, please. So I just want to start with some of our tour details. It would be a 30 to 45-minute live presentation with a museum educator. It's an interactive tour. We definitely want this to be a conversation with the students and the teacher. We'll include an in-class art activity sheet. If you want, we've actually, once students are back at school, we can do a post-tour guided art activity with art materials, where we would send the art materials to the school so that you could do that in the classroom. Next slide, please. It's free for Orleans and Jefferson Parish Public Schools. We are booking our tours Mondays through Fridays at 10 a.m. We have a little bit of flexibility on that time, but that's generally when we'd like to do that. We planned on doing our virtual museum tours for both possibilities of whether it's an in-class situation where the students are at school with the teacher, or also what has turned out to be the case for the first month of school, the distance learning classroom, where the teacher would co-host the meeting, whether that's on Zoom or Google Meets or whatever school-approved platform that we're using. We would also be able to do an add-on guided art activity for the in-classroom portion. Good. Next slide, please. So an overview of our virtual tours. We have 4 different themes here. We have Matthew's Dream, a museum introduction for early childhood, grades pre-K through 2nd. We have Exploring Southern Art for grades 2 through 12. Of course, that would be adapted depending on the grade. Southern Artists and Social Justice, and collaboration with the Pontchartrain Conservancy, The Art of Walter Anderson, Marshland Flora and Fauna. Next slide, please. So I'll just briefly go over, I have an image here for each of these tours. Matthew's Dream, we would include, this would really probably not work in distance learning, or we'd have to adapt it. but we would provide the book, read the book together, connect images from the Ogden to the book. The book is about a mouse who goes on a museum visit for the first time. And then we have hands-on activities that we would provide materials so that you could do those hands-on activities the way we normally do them in the gallery, but we could do them in the classroom led by the museum educator. Next slide, please. Exploring Southern art. This would just be a highlight from our permanent collection. So if you've been to the museum or you've been on one of our tours, these are a bunch of our favorites and student favorites. And we learn about concepts such as landscape, memory paintings, portraits, self-taught, abstract art. Next slide. Southern artists and social justice. We've done this tour in the past, and this is actually the first one we're going to pilot later this month. But we have a number of artworks that serve as a, sort of a stepping off point for talking about different issues of social justice. Ideas such as African American life at the turn of the 20th century, the Jim Crow era, the importance of education, civil rights era photography, and the impact of incarceration. And then we have the art of Walter Anderson, Marshland, Flora and Fauna. So this would be a two-part tour. The first part would be an Ogden Museum tour with a museum educator looking at the artwork of Walter Anderson and creating sketchbooks and doing a guided drawing practices with a museum educator. And then the second part would be like a virtual hike with the Pontchartrain Conservancy, where they could then take their sketchbooks and use those to sketch the actual real life animals that they see on the videotaped field trip. And yeah, the last thing I wanted to point out was that we have the Educators Resource Center on our website. We also have information about a lot of tours, but the Educators Resource Center has a lot of lesson plans around different artworks for teachers, and also a place to post images. If you do one of our lesson plans and create artwork, you can actually upload images to that, and you can see what other teachers have done with our materials. And I think that's it. Anything else, Ellen? We have time for questions.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah, so much for that. And yeah, we just want to stress that we are starting to book tours now. So also, so if you're ready, we're ready for you. And then also, we would love to work with you. If there's something specific that you're interested in exploring that you didn't see here, please don't hesitate to contact us at education@ogdenmuseum.org, and we're happy, just like all these educators, to work with you, because we just want to be a resource here for all your teachers. The other thing I wanted to quick mention that we don't have here is that we have another program called Studio Classroom that we've done with a number of schools around the city. It's a deeper dive into art explorations. Normally, you know, in normal times, we'll have a group of students in residence at the museum for over a week at a time. But that is something certainly that we could do more in depth if you wanted to have a deeper dive virtually and a longer art enrichment program. So don't hesitate to contact us for that too. And email us, and hopefully we'll see you soon. That's it.
Oh, thank you, Ellen and Sarah. And thanks for the tickets from the Ogden. That's awesome. Speaking of which, I'm about to give another one away. So the door prize for this time is another ticket to the Ogden, and the winner is Kevin McDunn. So Kevin, keep an eye out for email, and we'll get that to you. And our next speaker is from Orleans Parish 4-H, and it's Derek. And I'm just reminding everyone to please make sure you're muted if you are not. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Derek Landrum. I'm one of the 4-H agents here in Orleans Parish. And thanks, Lorraine. Yeah, we're just gonna give you a quick little rundown of what we got going on with 4-H. Next slide, please. So often when most people hear 4-H, they think of livestock and gardens. When I talk to people, I often hear about how their grandparents learned to can corn, or their cousin shows goats at the livestock show. Next slide, please. However, 4-H is so much more. We do programming within 3 main mission areas of citizenship, STEM, and healthy living. And especially here in an urban environment, 4-H is very adaptive to the needs of the communities. Next slide, please. like I said, our three main mission areas are STEM topics. So we call it SET, science, engineering, technology, healthy living, and within those mission areas, we have lots of stuff we can do. We like to say that 4-H is like a grocery store. There's a little bit of everything for everyone, and you can shop around. Next slide, please. The way we deliver these wide variety of programs is through 4 main methods. It's school enrichment programming, 4-H clubs, workshops, and camps. Next slide, please. So our school enrichment programs have been revamped for this approaching virtual school year or possibly virtual school year. What they are is a set of curriculums that we offer for free that are made and ready to go for use inside of schools. You sign up, you receive a set of lessons, and you deliver them on your own schedule. So we have a wide variety of topics that are, again, tied to school standards. We have them for a wide range of grades. The incubating education is an embryology lesson for 3rd and 8th grade classrooms. Stand Strong is a character development curriculum. Life is a financial education one that was designed with the current Louisiana requirement to teach financial education to high schoolers in mind. And then we have stuff for cloverfields and wetlands. Next slide, please. I want to mention that all of our enrichment programs are free. You won't have the 4-H agent in the classroom with you, but we will provide help, we will troubleshoot, and we will help you figure things out. And in some cases, we have the possibility to offer supplies, so reach out. Next slide. We also do our 4-H clubs, which is the more traditional model of 4-H, but we've taken a lot of new twists here in Orleans Parish. So of course we do stuff in school, and we can do that during an enrichment period. We also do a classroom, which is where we come into the classroom as the 4-H agent. I'll bring a hands-on lesson and we'll do it during the educational period. Our goal is to have all of our educational lessons be tied to standards, and we'll work with the teachers to figure out what you're currently going over, and we'll make that work with you. So it's building on what you're already going over in class. And we have a curricular status, so the state school board determined that 4-H, quote unquote, is relevant and supportive of youth education. So it's a great way to convince your administration to let us in the classroom. And finally, we have project clubs, which are based in the community, and we can just do in community settings. We have some like junior leaders that focus on leadership, and other ones that focus on gardening. Next slide, please. Finally, we do workshops and camps in 4-H. So, you know, we have contests and sometimes little afternoon workshops. We also do overnight camps, and we also do week-long camps. And that's something we're really famous for. Our camp happens in Alexandria, Louisiana. It's very popular. We're known for keeping it cheap as possible. We try to make it under $200 per kid. And scholarships are available to try to get it as low as less than per kid. So that is all I have to say. Next slide, please. And this is just the reasons why you should choose 4-H. But if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. But we are the largest youth organization in America, and we have a lot of research backing from LSU, so we have a lot going for us. Yes, thank you, Lorraine. Her 3rd graders were truly awesome in the 4-H club that we got to work with them last year in our club in the classroom programming. They were a wonderful bunch to work with. Questions? Well, if there are none, I'll still be here for about 30 more seconds before the end, but I'll just say, please follow me on the website that Pontchartrain is hosting that has all my contact information. Shoot me an email. I'm happy to coordinate with you. We will make stuff work, and we can get 4-H started in your school or community center.
Thank you, Derek. So we have a door prize for this transition, and it is a Save Our Coast Fleur-de-Lis print from Pontchartrain Conservancy, and the winner is Anthony Burrell. So Anthony, keep an eye out for an email and you can claim your prize. Our next speaker is Rebecca from STEM NOLA. Rebecca?
Excellent, thank you. Good evening, I guess now, everyone. My name is Rebecca Olind. I'm the Director of Education for STEM NOLA. And on the chat box, I have Lamaya Hall. She's our Operations Coordinator. She's going to be answering your questions as we go through the presentation. Let me go a little bit quickly so I can give you all the information about us. Next slide, please. So a little bit about STEM NOLA. We are a nonprofit that was founded by Dr. Calvin Mackey in 2013. And our mission is to inspire, engage, and expose youth to opportunities in STEM to give them the tools that they need to succeed. We've been doing this in person for 7 years, but in March when COVID hit, we quickly pivoted to virtual learning. And we now serve hundreds of students every week with our free weekly webinar. You can see the information at the bottom here on the slide. And in this webinar, we have STEM professionals and our staff leading students in hands-on STEM activities every week for free. We've also served hundreds of students over the summer in virtual camps, and we've done events as well. We have many coming up. So we're well versed in virtual engagement. Next slide, please. So at STEM NOLA, our #1 goal is to get STEM into kids' hands. And we know that the key to doing that is providing engaging, comprehensive, and flexible solutions for schools and communities. So our hands-on activities are engaging and fun, and they supplement classroom learning. Our programming is comprehensive. So we've got lessons and kits and teacher development packages and webinars and events, all of which are available virtually or in person. And our programming is flexible. We adapt according to the needs of each school because we know that every school, every classroom is different. And working with us is simple. You contact us with what you want, and then we work with you to make it happen. Next slide, please. So we've many different programs that we offer, but our 4 most common school programs are STEM class sessions, STEM demos, STEM days, and STEM family nights, all of which are available virtually or in person, delivered by our own trained staff. So STEM class sessions are exactly what they sound like. We lead a class period where students engage in 1 or more hands-on activities, and this can introduce, extend, or conclude a unit within your classroom. Distance learning or actual in-classroom learning. In STEM demos, it's still within that class period, but in this case, we lead a set of demonstrations for about 30 minutes. And then we follow it up with a hands-on activity because it's really important to us that every single time that we work with you, students are touching STEM. They're doing STEM with their hands. Next slide, please. Then we have our other 2 programs are a little bit longer. So we have STEM days or STEM Saturdays if it's on the weekend. And these are 2 to 3 hour explorations of a theme. Typically, it's 2 to 3 smaller activities that culminate in a build so that every student takes home or something that they made, or if they're already home, make something. And then our STEM family nights, we engage the community, right? So families explore a variety of STEM activities and careers together. Next slide, please. So these programs cover all areas of STEM, including but not limited to the topics that you see on screen. And all of our programming is aligned with standards to support the learning students are already doing in the classroom. We just want to make what's happening even better. Next slide, please. So I have some examples here of different activities that students might do when working with STEM NOLA. Our hands-on activities tend to fall into one of 3 categories. Investigations, building, and engineering. So you can see up at the top here, we have a force in motion activity where students are investigating gravity and acceleration using toy cars and ramps. In the middle, we have students investigating electricity and how light can be used to solve a problem in building a traffic signal. And then at the bottom, we have students designing buildings to withstand natural disasters, looking at both structures and engineering along with that severe weather component. Next slide, please. So I've just thrown a lot at you. I would like for you to see it now. So this is a video from a STEM Saturday event that we did in partnership with Chevron, and the focus was on chemistry. Obviously, this is going to be pre-COVID. But what's amazing is that we've seen the same amount of excitement and engagement in our virtual programming this summer too. And we're so excited for everything that's coming this year, both with virtual and the potential for in-person learning again too. So Connor, if you wouldn't mind playing this video, please.
STEM NOLA is my favorite place.
Why is STEM NOLA your favorite place?
Because I get to do activities.
Today we're here with STEM NOLA STEMNOLA to work on chemistry. I'm so excited about the activities that we have planned for the kids today.
We're building chemistry clocks with the kids. For K through 2 specifically, we're doing different stuff like slime, for instance. We're teaching them about like what solution is, how different things mixed together make completely something else, like chemical reactions. And for their big build, they're taking little Bennyman clocks and they're putting bolts and copper wires inside the lemon, so the acidity is what's making the clocks work. So they're just kind of learning about how different elements and different chemicals can make completely different things together.
Chevron has partnered with STEMNOLA in years past to do the chemistry experiments, and the kids come out from all across the greater New Orleans area, and they learn about hands-on science, engineering, technology, and math concepts.
All right, you can grab the light. 1, 2, 3.
Awesome. So you had to clip these on, you had to connect a wire to a string and a wire to the screw, and it made a battery charge, which actually made it tell the time.
Little kids are like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. What is that? They're just amazed.
I'm hearing oohs and ahs. I'm hearing kids talk about chemicals and chemical terms. What I see are engaged children, children who are excited about science, children who are excited about engineering and math, and my heart is just happy.
Exposing them to education in a new way, in a new light, and just making it fun for them, making it realistic and hands-on for them.
You learn that heat is oxygen when you breathe out. Carbon dioxide is when you breathe out.
This early love and awareness is really an enabler for a better life for all of our kids.
We made water balls that look like volcanoes. And then we did food coloring with milk.
Like the milk swirl, they use food coloring, Dawn soap and milk, and they're just like, what is that? And then when they see that it's like, it creates this chemical reaction, then it's like milk swirls, they're like, that's amazing. What is this?
And then we did molecules that are actually marshmallows.
So we want to encourage not only a love of learning, but also a love of science, technology, engineering, and math.
It's cool that we're partnered with somebody like Chevron. It's good to have that partnership, so I like it, yeah.
So partnering with STEMNOLA is very important for Chevron as we are looking across our community. This is a part of our commitment. This is a part of ensuring that all of our community participates in science, technology, engineering, and math. All of our community has an opportunity to go on to those careers of the future.
This is an amazing place, and again, thank you, Chevron, for letting us have STEM Day.
Thank you. If you could go to the next slide, please. Great. So if you're interested in bringing STEMNOLA to your school, we have our website, phone number, and email address here, and it's also on that directory that Kimberly has talked about earlier. Maya, do we have any questions or anything that you'd like to share?
No, I did not have any questions in the chat, so I think we're good.
Excellent. Great. Well, we're really excited to be working with schools this year and to continue just this great work and bringing STEM directly into the hands of students, both here in Louisiana and, you know, we've actually been reaching people across the world. So we're really excited about it.
Rebecca, that was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So the door prize for this transition is another ticket to the Ogden, and it goes to Jesse Morgan Owens. So Jesse, please keep an eye out for an email to claim your prize. And our next speaker is Jonathan from the Brown Foundation. Jonathan?
Hi everyone, how's it going today? I've really enjoyed everyone else so far, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what the Brown Foundation can offer you in this very odd COVID world right now. So a little bit of, well, before I start, that bit.ly right there, I would write that down, and I'm going to try to send that to everyone too. That's pretty much all of our resources in a Google Drive. So everything I'm going to talk about today, you can find actually in there, from, you know, applications to examples of what applications should look like for service learning, to our flyers. We kind of update that throughout the year. So it's really a good thing to kind of bookmark for grant opportunities for your school. Next slide, please. So if you're unfamiliar with the Brown Foundation, we are based out of Metairie. We're a private foundation, and our mission is to alleviate human suffering. That's a little bit broad, so how we do that is through charitable giving to a lot of medical research, human resources, but also to education, and that's who I work for. I'm the education program manager. And that's what we're going to talk about today. What are the resources that we can give you to your schools in this school year? All right, next slide. So our education department has three main programs that we promote. Our biggest one is our service learning program, where we fund schools to do service learning in their classroom. Our second one is a relatively new program called Support STEM. We fund K through 12 schools to support STEM curriculum in their schools. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about what that looks like specifically. And then the last one is our Emmy Noether Award. Just due to time, I'm not really going to go too much into that, but what it is a scholarship for seniors in high school that are female, to try to help promote them and encourage them to go into scientific research as a career. And so the foundation has a judging panel that picks 10 high school seniors to become Emmy Noether Scholars. And we try to offer them resources and financial assistance to get into graduate level programs that are based in some type of STEM research. So medical research, engineering, architecture, anything that is research-based. Now I will get you all that bit.ly once I am done. I'll put it in the chat again. Okay, thank you, Connor. So what is the service learning program? So our service learning program, we fund K through 12 schools to link classroom learning with intentional service in the community. So we're looking for science teachers. I know there's a lot of science teachers out there today who are talking about coastal erosion in their class, and maybe you want to do a service project to really tie it into what you're learning. So you want to bring your kids and students out to the wetlands and maybe plant trees, or maybe you want to work with the Pontchartrain Conservancy and go do a pickup outside along Lake Pontchartrain. We will fund any of the consumable materials, the transportation for you to do that service project. So we pay for a lot of the bus transportation to get out there. If you are planting trees, you can request funds to pay for the trees to plant, the soil. We have a lot of service learning plans in the Greater New Orleans area that funds LSU's Coastal Roots program. So, you know, in that example, we would pay for the fees that LSU charges to cover their cost and any type of gardening material. So the service learning program really is trying to fund the service projects and all the consumable things that would be used up in that project. All right, next slide, please. So a few kind of things on our checklist. It has to happen in the classroom in the school year. This isn't an after school thing. This is something that has to be taught in a K through 12 class. We are funding consumable materials and transportation. You must have an identified community partner. So we're going to work with the Pontchartrain Conservancy. We're going to work with Ogden Museum, the World War II Museum. It has to be some type of nonprofit or school that you're working with. And what makes these grants so amazing is that they are non-competitive, meaning that you're not really competing against another teacher or another school. If it qualifies as a service learning project, it will be partially or fully funded. So your school can apply for 10 grants, and it doesn't matter. We have a lot of schools that we have, a dozen grants with. As long as it's service learning, it will be funded to some capacity. All right, next slide. As everyone else has been talking about today, we are very aware that this year is going to be very hard to do any type of bringing your kids out and doing service. We are very aware of that. So we've done a few things to try to adjust because we still want, service learning to happen to some capacity in the 2020-21 school year. So here are the kind of adjustments we have made. First, usually grants are past due at this point. We're not giving out any more money, but we've actually extended our deadline to November 30th. So you can still apply to get service learning funds right now until November 30th for this school year. So if you have an idea, please email me and I would love to get something started with you that we can talk about ideas for this year. We are suspending the requirement. We used to require that you have to go off campus to do a service project. That is not going to be possible for a lot of your schools, and we know that. So we are suspending that requirement for this year. If there's something in school that you can do, like an art project, putting bags together for a homeless shelter, there's just so much stuff you can do at school and donate it or, somehow still have it be service. We are very willing to fund those projects this year so that you can still do service learning on your campus. We usually have our big service learning event, which we are canceling this year due to COVID-19 concerns. And we're also partnering new this year with the National World War II Museum's Get in the Scrap program and the Green Lights Rain Barrel program. And what I mean by that is we are funding those programs. And if you are interested, we're going to be putting up flyers and stuff on our website that you just literally have to sign up with us, and we will fund a rain barrel to come to your school. You can paint it, you can do everything. It's like a pre-packaged. They're giving you all the materials you need for both of those programs. So those are both programs you can do at school, in your classroom, delivered to you, that we are underwriting for this next school year. So we're trying to do whatever we can to try to have service learning still happen in your classroom. All right, next slide. Okay, I'm probably not going to have time to do this. I want to be conscious of my time, so I'm not going to do this video. But I do want to talk about Support STEM. Support STEM is our STEM grant cycle. It opens up in the fall, usually about October, and it will be due this year, March 7th. And so I would definitely just kind of look at our website in the fall when you're starting to look at, your plans for the next year. What we fund, those are bigger grants that can be up to $20,000. And it can be for anything to support STEM curriculum in your classroom. So we're talking about equipment, we're talking about curriculum packages like Project Lead the Way. We're talking about professional development for teachers, anything you need for your science, a technology, engineering, or mathematics class, okay? We're really looking for the kind of full package, like, hey, I want to do a 3D printer, but here's the professional development we're gonna do, here's what class it's gonna be integrated in, and here are the materials I need. And you can apply up to $20,000 for that. So like I said, that grant cycle will open up in October and it ends at the beginning of March. Okay, next slide. And that is it. We have our website there. I will put the bit.ly in the chat. And like I said, hopefully I can get a list of all the emails, and I would be happy to send that bit.ly and any other information to y'all. And you can email me at any time. I would love to talk to you about possible STEM or service learning funding for the school year for y'all. Thanks.
Thank you, Jonathan. Everybody, his email address again is here, but also it's on that website that we shared earlier. So please do get in touch with him. The door prize for this transition is from Pontchartrain Conservancy, and it is a water cycle coloring book. And the winner is Lindsay Hurt. So Lindsay, watch for an email. And our next speaker is Erin from the Green Project. Erin, and thank you for the donation of the recycled paint, Erin.
Oh, sure. Well, hello, my name is Erin. I'm the environmental educator over at the Green Project. Next slide, please. So the Green Project is a small little nonprofit over in the Bywater area. And we are probably best known for our salvage store and paint recycling program. But we also do environmental education. We have a heavy focus on creative reuse and waste diversion. And we work with schools in class, and we also invite schools to our location to do lessons and tours. Case in point, this picture here is me with a group of 5-year-olds. We are hunting for creative reuse in action with toilet paper binoculars. So my favorite part of my job is actually working with teachers to come up with plans that do meet their needs. And through those collaborations, we've realized that one of the greatest needs that we're asked to address is recycling. So very often I go to schools to teach recycling, only to learn that the school itself does not recycle due to cost or other factors, or if they are recycling, sometimes they're doing it wrong. So we just developed two new programs that we're really excited about to address this need in the community. Next slide, please. So the first program is called the Mess Lab, and this is geared towards 4th through 12th graders. It is a 4-hour service learning program meant to be held at the Green Project. And it is GLE aligned. So it is basically this program that is meant to give students a hands-on experience with recycling if they're not able to do it at their school or they're not able to do it at home. So everything from collection of materials to turning those materials into something new and then marketing those materials. That's sort of our goal. This is a very hands-on, very visceral kind of experience. Students come, they walk around our warehouse. We look for creative reuse in action. There's lots of examples at the Green Project. We spend a significant amount of time at our paint recycling section of the store, where students can really take in the huge amount of unwanted paint from our community. We delve into conversations about household hazardous waste, who should be responsible for that, the cost of disposing of household hazardous waste. Is it individuals who bought the material? Is it the companies who make it? Is it the city? Students get a chance to suit up and experience processing waste paint. So the latex paint is disposable if you harden it first. So at the Green Project, we use donated sawdust from local wood shops. So students also get to see creative reuse in action that way. And we harden waste paint, and it's really gross. And if you know kids, sometimes the more gross, the better. We go then into our classroom, which is a lot cleaner, and we talk about this whole contamination issue. How can we reduce paint waste? We have several activities to do in the classroom involving tape measures and mathematical equations. And then we go into our new student-centered paint recycling lab. And students get to work in teams of 3 or 4 to pick their own colors and create their own recycled paint product. And then the take home or the take back to class activity is that then they get to market their product using all of the information they learned in our lab to create an advertisement to the public. And the goal is to post these ads in our store so that our stakeholders can see what students are learning. They can learn from them. The students get to interact with their community, and hopefully it's very interactive in that way. And my favorite part about this program is that all of the money from those student paint sales goes back into this specific program. So then students get to be part of their own circular economy. So that's the Mess Lab. That's how it was designed. Next slide, please. So what does that look like virtually? Instead of a 4-hour service learning event, I think probably each of these steps is going to work better as an individual lesson, which could be implemented by a teacher, or I am also happy to implement any of these lessons for teachers via Zoom or however that works for teachers. But each section has a PowerPoint and then some type of activity to engage students. And in the interest of time, I won't go through all of this, but I will get to the paint team part. Obviously, students can't recycle paint virtually, but if you take each of these categories as a lesson, then maybe, every other week you do a lesson. By the time paint teams comes up, hopefully it'll be safe to take field trips again and you can come on by. But we could totally skip the paint teams and go right to advertising. There's still a lot to be learned, and students can still generate their own interesting advertisements on recycling in New Orleans or the benefits of recycled paint, and it's still something we could post in our store or on social media. Next slide, please. So then our second program is called the Student-Led Recycling Initiative. This was a pilot program we did with George Washington Carver last year. They actually won for high schools the Louisiana Green School Challenge through setting up school-wide recycling. This program has three components. The first is helping a school develop a sustainable green team, basically by taking students, 2 to 3 students from each grade, having them meet once a week, once every other week, to really talk about issues that are important to them, encourage them and support them with trivia events or school-wide competitions that they're in charge of. The second component is providing environmental learning experiences. So with Carver, I taught every science class about recycling, and so that the entire school and all the teachers were on the same page about what clean recycling looks like. And then finally, we helped that school set up school-wide recycling. And so this was really fun. It was really exciting. And we were all set and geared up to work with Sci-Hi this year. And then, of course, Corona happened. Next slide, please. But we're going to go forward with it. So what does virtual student-led recycling look like? So that particular school is not going to be on site until January probably, but they asked me to create 6 mini lessons so that they can sort of toss in some sustainability education in their homerooms. So currently we have 6 roughly 15-minute lessons that can be interactive or they can be independent. Each lesson could easily be expanded upon and includes a PowerPoint, a 2-minute video, and then again, an activity for students to be able to do. I have zipped through this really quickly, and I apologize for that. So I will say that with George Washington Carver, there was lots of like student competition. I think competition is very motivating for students. So like which class could collect the most beads or which class collected the most paper. And that whole competition aspect was very appealing to Sci-Hi. So they are going to attempt to do a home competition with their students where they challenge students to set up curbside recycling at their homes, which I think is a really interesting idea because then it will allow the students to actually teach their family. Hopefully that will affect their community and, you know, success. And that's sort of our goal with 2 of these programs. And I see I have a question. How long does a typical field trip with elementary kids? And what is the greatest age level that you typically target? So we do field trips for K through 12. Typically we get younger kids, I think because high school kids are usually probably, they have other priorities, but we've worked with pre-K4 and we've worked with high school. And actually you don't have to be a student. I mean, we work with adult groups as well. So anybody who's interested in education is welcome to come. A typical field trip, again, because we're happy to work with students in any way, work with students and teachers in any way that we can, is kind of up to you. Ideally, you have at least an hour to spend with us. The actual mess lab is going to be about 4 hours. However, we will certainly be flexible with that. If you only can spare 2 hours, we'll work with you to cater that particular program to make it make sense for you. And as far as like the greatest age level, I love working with the little ones, but the Green Project is sort of a challenging environment in a lot of ways due to safety issues with little ones. So I think the greatest age would probably be middle school to high school. The Green Project is open. The hours are different. We're open now Wednesdays through Saturdays, 11 to 5. And you don't have to sign up beforehand. You can, and then you'll definitely get in. You can show up, but then you have to wait your turn, basically. How do you become a recycling initiative school? You email me. Please email me, and I'd love to talk to anybody about it. My time is up. Thank you, guys.
Erin, that was awesome. Thank you so much. Sure. And again, y'all, please email Erin directly with additional questions. Her contact information is on that website that we shared earlier. So the door prize for this transition is another ticket to the Ogden, and it's for Ashley Jackson. So Ashley, please keep an eye out for an email on how to get that ticket to the Ogden. And our next speakers are Rob and Leah from the National World War II Museum.
Hi there, and it's going to be Rob because Leah's having internet problems. So I just want to say God bless you for the work you do. I know this is a really hard time. I've spent the last few weeks at the museum talking to teachers about making plans, and I know what you're doing is really hard and really great, and we're all here, Leah and I and the museum and everybody else on this call, just to help you with whatever you need. If you think you have a crazy request, just ask, because we could probably help, you know, because that's what we're here for right now. If you can go to the next slide, I'll talk about things that we have available for students. You know, we had ramped up so that we are having many weekend events for students to come to that were free. Obviously, we're not going to be able to do that anymore. That cute little girl made a bow and arrow right around Valentine's Day as a project. We do lots of cool things like that, but we're not going to be able to do that for a while. In the meantime, we got a grant to allow us to do some live student webinars. So starting in late September, after things hopefully have settled down with your regular classroom rituals and schedules and stuff, we'll start doing live student webinars every Thursday afternoon this fall. Now, anybody across the country can tune into these. These will be free. And the best way in all these cases to find out about this stuff is to look at that URL right there. But the very, very best way to get up-to-date information is to join our Facebook group. I'm not a super great fan of Facebook, but it works really well for this particular thing. You can join our Facebook group, and I'll have the URL on the next page. And if Kimberly gives me everybody's email addresses, I'll send you the Facebook link. Just join, and every Friday I put out a agenda for the following week of all the things we're going to offer. We have somebody from every part of our education group offering a resource or a webinar for students every week. So you could check out, we have a lot of virtual offerings. Some of them are free field trips. We have lots of recorded videos that you could do too. Leah's going to be doing a STEM video series through the school year. The one for the youngest kids is going to be in the fall, and then other ones in February and April. But we're going to regularly have articles you can use and videos that you can use for your kids weekly throughout the school year. Next slide, please. We have lots of opportunities for teachers when we have those webinars the night before or sometime earlier that week. We will have a teacher workshop explaining how to use our resources to teach that topic. You can find all sorts of curriculum and activities for students, not just history. We are the World War II Museum, and it is a history museum, but we have tons of environmental science and STEM stuff there too. So email us, go to www.classroom.org, or you can see that Facebook link there. Go to there and ask to join, and we'll be happy to help you out and tell you what's going on. Do you have any questions? Any questions for me? Let's look at the chat. Nope. All right. If you do have questions, email me, okay? Because we really, really want. Will there be robotics? I know that I saw you on there, Mona, and I knew you were going to ask that. We hope so. It's just really hard. It's hard to plan. We're following FIRST's initiative. We're just really disappointed But I am concerned that, January, when students will start working on the projects, that I don't know what it's going to be like. So stay tuned, and Leah will let you know, and that Facebook page is a great way. If we don't do robotics, we'll do some kind of a coding challenge that you can participate in with your students.
Great, thank you, Rob. And we're partnered with the World War II Museum and Electric Girls to do aquatic ROV, and we're developing a professional development for educators. So keep your eyes out for that. And once COVID is passed, we'll be able to do challenges, pool challenges with those aquatic ROVs that we teach you all to build. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you so much, Rob. Tell Leah thank you. Sorry she had technical issues. That was our last presenter. I do have a couple more door prizes to give out. So we have a couple more tickets to the Ogden. And the winners for those are Phyllis Beatty and Jane Kaufman. So please keep an eye out for emails on how to get your ticket to the Ogden. And then we have from the Pontchartrain Conservancy 5 Peter Bryant Lighthouses of Southeast Louisiana prints. And the winner for that is Helen Myers. So Helen, keep an eye out for your email on how to get that. So I just want to thank you all so much for attending our virtual Educator Open House. We are all, as you've heard everybody say, here to support you and your students. Please do follow up with our presenters by visiting their websites and find out more, and email the presenters to begin booking programs, virtual programs, or whatever else you need, or just check out, for instance, our online resource. But those resources are there for you. So please do check all of them out. A heartfelt thank you to our partners and to Connor and Kate for all their technical support behind the scenes. They were awesome. And a few housekeeping items. If you were a door prize winner, please keep an eye out for that email with instructions on how to claim your prize. This open house was recorded and will be available shortly on our event page. So fear not, you will be able to revisit everything that was said and share it with your other educators. And please do share it with other educators who are unable to attend. Please watch for that post-event survey in your email, and we would love your feedback on this event. If you have any questions, I can be reached at Kimberly@science4ourcoast.org. And we just want to, as Rob was saying, really thank you all for everything that you're doing. I am an educator. I come from the classroom. So wow, I'm just in awe of what y'all are facing. After 20 years of being there, I didn't face anything like this. So good luck to everybody. And we're here, we see you, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much.